Well, hello and welcome to another Watson Graduate School of Management alumni update. And it is my pleasure to be joined again by Tonmoy Paul. Tonmoy, welcome. Thanks for taking time to connect today.
Thanks, Kenneth. And as I mentioned, it's always a pleasure to meet you, meet Spears Business School and my beloved OSU.
Yeah, and Tonmoy, I know like the power of personal is the Spears School of Business motto. And I think if anyone exemplifies it, you definitely have owned that as a student and as an alum. So I've seen you involved in graduate student association work. I've seen you involved in some of our events that we've hosted on campus post-completion. So thanks for living up to that mantle. So is it correct? My understanding is it's been about a year since you've graduated from a dual degree pathway. You did the MS in Quantitative Finance, and then you also finished up with the MS in Business Analytics and Data Science. So that's quite a lot to take on. How did you manage to do two of those programs?
That's a very good question. First of all, it was a lot. When I was doing it, I was not enjoying every part of it. But after the journey was over, then I realized that was a journey really worth it. So yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, so right now you're working for a company called Dentsu, which is based in New York City, and you're a senior associate with focus on analytics. When I look at your profile, it kind of tells me that you work with a little bit of consumer data scientist type work. Is that a correct way to classify it, or can you tell me a little bit more about what you do?
Yeah, sure. Let me tell. My area is marketing analytics and marketing data science. So Dentsu is one of the top advertising agencies in the world. And in my role, I serve clients like 7-Eleven, Saks of Fifth, Illinois State Lottery. I help their advertising decisions. For example, when you are maybe watching a video, maybe your favorite series on Netflix or HBO Max, suddenly an ad pops up. And I know you are not happy with this, but this is probably us. So our job is sometimes finding where the target customers are, the target audience, how to best target our audience, in which channels. There are so many channels: TV, radio, Snapchat, Google search, HBO Max, all these channels. Among all these channels, how to allocate our advertising budget so that the clients are benefited. So that's one of our key roles. So I work on these similar roles, helping clients get better insights from the media or advertising budget they spend, helping them get insights, helping them with the modeling. So yeah, this is kind of the work I do.
So obviously someone who comes to the programs that you've enrolled in here at Oklahoma State University, their goal is to land in industry and have touch points and influence with companies and major names like the ones that you're working for. So how satisfying is it to actually be immediately out of the program and working for a company that serves these big name companies?
Yeah, it's really satisfying, to be very honest with you. And the clients we are serving, for example, I mentioned some of them. Also, some of my colleagues were also graduates from OSU and this program. They are also serving clients like Kroger, Jaguar Land Rover. So associating with these big brand names, and when we are working with these brand names, which is really fascinating to me, we are also trying to get a vibe of their consumers, this insight part, how psychology is working, how people are thinking of their brands, how people are thinking of media. That's really powerful. So yeah, that's really satisfying job.
Yeah, got it. Well, let me ask you this. I know that when you are on the job, you can do some things that are rewarding. And then also when you're in your programs, you can probably look back and say, that's something that I achieved in school that I'm proud of. So either on the job in the first year that you've been out or something when you were a student here on campus, what are some of the things that you've been proud of accomplishing?
Okay, let me start from when I was in school.
Sure.
There was one of the competitions, business case, that was analytics case competition. That was in my very first year as an analytics student. And we were the, I mean, my team was the champion of the analytics case competition at OSU. So that was something I feel really proud of. That was in my very first semester, and we could do this. And there was a similar, much larger analytics case competition that was in Iowa, and OSU on third. I was one of the team members, and we were working on a very opportune topic like pandemic, how to help the pandemic, I would say survivors, how to help the vaccination strategy of pandemic using analytics. So these are two of the very important landmarks in my analytics student tenure at OSU. And after I came to my job, there is a recession going on or coming. So how the recession and the consequent cut in advertising budget is affecting some of the companies, affecting their sales, affecting how our behavior in visiting them. One of the models I kind of led it, and I ran the model, I presented to the client. So that was a very satisfying work. So yeah, these are some of the highlights I can recall from the last 2 years.
I think it's great to have those milestones to hang on to, and to realize that those incremental steps are what take you to the next thing in your career and moving forward. So I also think it's interesting in higher education, we commonly tell students it's important to be involved and not just be siloed in one area, and kind of get out and expand your horizons a little bit, because that'll benefit you in the career. Going back to what I said earlier, I know that you were the GPSGA secretary here at Oklahoma State, and that's a pretty big responsibility. And then you were also an OSU Student Volunteer Center as director chair of ambassadors. So you're busy with school, you're busy with those competitions, but you're doing all of that. Can you tell me, like, is that a worthwhile thing for people to do like we say it is, or was that just total chaos on top of everything else you had to get done?
Yeah, that's a very important question. And I guess a lot of students also curious about this aspect. From my perspective, whatever I was doing because I was enjoying this. About the GPSGA, when I was, there are so many graduate departments in the university, working with all of them and helping understand some of their very real issues. For example, their salary was an issue 2 years back. The standard of living was increasing. So how GPSGA can help that, and similar issues, dealing with similar issues, connecting with the people, connecting with the students like me, that was a rewarding experience. And about Student Volunteer Center, I recall a very important campaign we ran. That was the Oklahoma blood drive. After pandemic, there was acute shortage of blood in overall Oklahoma, and there are some different blood products like plasma that was on demand, but we are not getting a lot. So in Student Volunteer Center, I collaborated with the Oklahoma Blood Institute, OBI, and helped run a very successful campaign at OSU. So when I look back at them, it's really satisfying. I feel, okay, I helped make an impact. But when I was going through this, as you mentioned, I had maybe 2 assignments, 2 deadlines tonight, and I had my GTA responsibilities and this extracurricular. They seemed a lot. And but I mean, as I mentioned earlier, when you are enjoying what you are doing, sometimes the pressure, it kind of makes you feel worth of it. Like, yeah, it was worth it, although it was a bit stressful, but it was worth it because you enjoyed the journey. Yeah.
Tonmoy, would you concur that it's kind of a reflection of real life post-completion? Life just gets busier, and the more you take on as a student, the better you're able to handle that in life post-completion?
Yeah, I would agree with that, because as a student, we think life is busy, but yeah, it keeps getting busier and busier. You have a family. Yeah, things get busier and busier. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So I would be remiss not to ask you this, and that is, a lot of students come to, whether it's the quantitative finance program or the business analytics and data science program, they want to get out there and work in those specific industries. And so you landed on the side of analytics. And so what would you say to someone who's aspiring to take on one of these programs, or maybe someone who's in the middle of the program, a little concerned about what to do post-completion because it's a little bit foggy and unclear. Do you have any advice for people who want to get involved in the industry?
Yeah, sure. I mean, one of the very important things that we may not always notice as a student is the need for networking. The two programs you mentioned, Quant Finance and of course Business Analytics and Data Science, they're tremendous programs. They're really good programs and they teach you really well about what you need to learn. And there are certain things we need to prepare ourselves as students. And one of the very important aspects, as I mentioned, is networking. If we can try to have a vision, if not of 5 years, at least 2 to 3 years, like these are the companies I want to target. And if I want to go for these companies, maybe these are the roles. I mean, these are the roles I want to target. So if I start connecting with people whom I aspire to be and know more about them, that can be really helpful, number one. And number two, when we are thinking of preparing ourselves for the industry, it's a continuous process. I'm still preparing myself to be better for my next role, to be better for my present role. I may not know everything about the role. So this is a continuous pursuit. And as a student, when we have so much pressure of so many assignments, it's easy to miss the vision and just focus on just the short-term things. So if we can allocate maybe at least 30 minutes a day, maybe 1 hour a day, every day to gradually build our skills, that can be very beneficial. I mean, there's a very famous quote: we overestimate what we can do in short run and underestimate what we can do in long run. So in 1 year, in every day when we're building block by block, we can be a very strong candidate in the market, which may not be feasible in 1 month of a lot of effort. So yeah, so 2 things that comes to top of my mind: networking, that's very important, and also number 2, gradually preparing yourself. And while we do these 2 things, I always want to focus when we are on a master's program, there's a lot of responsibilities about coursework. It's important to not be totally bogged down into your studies. Like I mentioned, like the GPSGN, you are doing an amazing job from Spears, I guess GLS. There are some of these amazing organizations that they have. And this really helped me. I did not understand them at that point, but now when I'm in the job, I could feel, yeah, this really helped me about my overall development as a human being, as a person.
Well, thank you so much. I concur with your thoughts and appreciate the plug for GLASS. It's been something that we've really built up, and it's starting to gain a lot of momentum. And thanks to students who've encouraged involvement, such as you. And so, by the way, we saw you here at the SAS Analytics Day about 4 weeks ago. Your input and continuing input and feedback and touch point for networking purposes with current students is highly appreciated. Thank you so much, Tonmoy, for taking time out of your day today to connect and have this discussion. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Kenneth. It's all my pleasure. And I also want to thank you for the amazing work you are doing for the students and Spears. I hope they'll be benefited a lot. And yeah, thanks a lot.
All right. Take care. Go Pokes.
Go Pokes.